Hi, my name is Elizabeth2, and I won first place for Sports Feature Story with my documentary on Lance Armstrong. Lance won the Tour de France 7 times starting in 1999, and this was such a huge deal for him to come back at 38. You know, he had been off cycling for 3 years. He had already made the comeback in '99 after testicular cancer, but now it was a different type of comeback. You know, he missed the sport. He wanted to bring global awareness to the Lance Armstrong Foundation, and really to come back after 3 years, a lot of people doubted him, you know, questioned why, but he really, you know, didn't have anything to prove. Well, when Lance asked me to document the project, basically I said, when do we start? And he said, well, I'm going on a 5-hour ride tomorrow if you want to come along. And I said, absolutely. So, you know, got all my gear and hopped in the back of a pickup truck. And I was really excited to see, you know, I was looking for really the intensity or the I'm back. You know, when you go out with Lance, yes, I have an idea of what I'd like to get, but then you never know what's going to happen. So the face shot came about on the very first training ride that I went on with Lance. It was a 5-hour training ride, September 2009, and I was in the back of a pickup truck. I shoot with Canon Mark III 1DS's and a Canon Mark III, and I had my 16-35, my 300, and actually the 300 is what I use for that shot. And I'm in the back of the pickup truck, you know, trying to stable around these dirt roads in Austin, Texas, out kind of in Dripping Springs, and you know, nobody else is there, so there are these rocky roads, and I'm trying to steady myself. And what's interesting about the face shot is that one image was what I was kind of wanting to get in during the training ride, that I'm back, you know, here I come. And you know, out of the thousands of images I shot that day, that was the one that I got. I didn't get any other similar. The frame after, the frame before, not even close. And so I was so happy to get that image and to get that face and that, I'm back, you know. The shot of him doing the clapping push-ups, I mean, his workouts were intense when he was working out in his home gym. And I wanted to show that as well, that, wow, you know, he is doing some hardcore off-the-bike workouts to get his body back in shape. Again, he's 38. He had been off for 3 years. You know, he knew that if he was going to come back, it wasn't just to sit at the back of the peloton. So we were in Hawaii training in January 2010, and it's raining. It's, you know, kind of a windy day out in Hawaii, and we're coming up, and I'm shooting Lance outside of a car. Actually, I was on a moto that day, and it was raining, and we were all kind of trying to cover up. I was trying to keep my lenses dry, and we come up, and I see this woman on just a cruiser bike, you know, in her bikini and rain hat and flip-flops. And Lance said, you know, was coming up, he said, I see this woman every day. She's out here. Every year I'm training, she's out here riding. And he loved her. And it was just such a nice moment because they talked, and I was shooting them as they were talking, but then as he took off, you know, she was like, go Lance! And I thought it was such a neat image, and it's one of his favorites too, because you know, here's Lance Armstrong, and then here's the everyday person that just loves to ride their bike, and he has that connection, you know, with just the everyday people, and that's why he has that it factor that people love, because he connects. He makes that connection not only with, you know, famous people, but with just your average Joe too. The leg shot came about when we were in Monaco on the training ride for the Tour de France, right before the Tour de France started. And, you know, I was shooting him all day. And then we got out, and Lance was checking his bike with the mechanics. And I got out, and I was just looking for something different. I'm always looking for a different angle, not just, you know, him on the bike and trying to tell the story. And I looked down, and when I saw his leg and, you know, the way the light was hitting it, I just focused on that, and I shot. And I like how the other feet are in the picture too, and you can totally tell it's Lance's leg. And even after I took that shot and I was home, I was back at the hotel working on it, I sent it to him, and he couldn't even believe it. He said, did you Photoshop that? And I said, nope, that's you. I said, okay, maybe I'll use a little bit with the lighting to know, but that's all you. Drug testing is a big part of Lance's life, and being a professional cyclist, which comes with the territory. But when you're Lance Armstrong, you are drug tested a lot more than the average cyclist. And I think last year he was drug tested 52 times. more than any, I think it's safe to say that more than any athlete in any sport. So to be able to photograph not only a drug test, but Lance Armstrong being drug tested was a big deal. And so I knew that, and the pressure, I put a lot of pressure on myself to get, I wanted to get a really good image that really represented what he had to go through. And what was interesting is when the drug testers showed up, and I was there with my camera, and of course, they don't wait. It happens like this. You go in, and I had to make sure, my batteries were charged. I had the, enough memory, and so when we got into the bathroom, I'm checking out the scene. I'm climbing in the tub to see, and at first they didn't want me to shoot. They said, no, she's out. And Lance said, oh no, she's staying. This is my urine. She's gonna document this. And it was a little bit, we said, we won't show your face, we won't show the samples. We had done our research on what I could and couldn't do, so we were set. And then he said, okay, fine. So then I'm in all shooting mode, and I'm thinking about the lighting, and because I love to shoot available light, and did I have enough light to make sure it was in focus? So I had my 16-35 on, and it just worked beautiful, and with the mirror and the doctor and the drug tester there, and really what I didn't realize was how invasive it really is. I thought, okay, he goes in, he pees in a cup, but then not only is that, they made him pull down his pants around his knees, not only just down, and then Lance had to get the sample, and he had to put it all together, and it was a process. I mean, it's a lot more than I thought it was. So it was interesting for me to see that. The shot in the car was from the Tour de France, and it was actually after the hardest stage, the Mont Ventoux stage, and I was at the finish because really I'm documenting Lance and doing this documentary. I had to be at the finish in case whatever happened. And actually 2 shots came from that day. The shot of Lance riding up behind, and I really wanted to show that he was getting stronger throughout the tour. And here was first place Contador, second place Andy Schleck, even though their heads aren't shown, that's them. And then you see Lance right there to show that, after 3 years, this guy's still got it, and here he is. And so I think it was a really important day to document, because it really proved that he was back and serious, and he had what it took. So when we got to the car, we raced to the car, and there's always a circus around Lance, and sometimes it gets a little scary because people are pushing and shoving, and we jumped in this little car. I mean, that car was tiny, and you can't tell to get that shot in the car. I'm sitting on the lap of one of his security guards. The other one's trying to drive, and as you can see, the car is just being overrun by press, and that's Lance's life. Well, I am an athlete, grew up as an athlete. I'm the only girl on both sides of my family. I've been around sports and boys, forever, and Lance is like a third brother to me, and so he was comfortable having me photograph him for a year. I mean, it was a long documentary and a lot of personal moments, the birth of his son. Gosh, we spent a lot of time together, and so that says, I balance my photography with my relationship with my subject. I think that's just as important with being a great photographer and getting great images. A lot of people ask me, what's it like to work with Lance Armstrong? Is he, could you not shoot him at certain times? And really, it was a dream to photograph him because he is so comfortable with the camera. I really had full access and total creative freedom. I had been getting all these emails, congratulations, from my friends in Europe, and I was like, for what? I didn't know, what, if it was first place, second, third, what it was. I was just thrilled regardless. And then I saw the email from World Press, and it said, congratulations. And then I had to scroll down, and it said, first prize, and I just went, ah! Just was so excited, because it's really such an honor to be recognized with your colleagues, and it was such a long year, hard blood, sweat, and tears for sure, and I'm so proud of the work, and it just means so much. I'm just humbled and honored.